Welcome to Startups. I'm your host, Aiden Spark. Today on Startups, imagine a young girl silenced, her spirit under siege, told to be invisible. But today, we uncover how Oprah's early trauma became the unlikely catalyst for her extraordinary ability to connect with millions, a secret weapon that fueled her rise to becoming a global icon. But what happens when even that powerful connection isn't enough to save her from a devastating fall? Picture a small girl standing barefoot in Mississippi red clay, her cotton dress worn thin at the edges. The year is 1963, and young Oprah Winfrey stares at her reflection in a broken window pane. What she couldn't know then was how profoundly true those words would become, or how the very wounds that threatened to silence her would ultimately give her the power to heal millions. The farmhouse creaks under the weight of secrets. Inside, a 9-year-old Oprah navigates a childhood that would break most spirits. Sexual abuse, grinding poverty, the constant message that she should be invisible, silent, small. But in those darkest moments, something extraordinary begins to take root. You see it in the way she memorizes poetry to recite at church, in how she practices speaking to the chickens in her grandmother's yard, in her fierce determination to be heard despite every force pushing her toward silence. The smell of fresh-turned earth mingles with her grandmother's cooking. The sound of gospel music drifts through Sunday morning air. These sensory memories become anchors, keeping her tethered to hope when everything else threatens to sweep her away. You might recognize this in your own life, how certain sounds, smells, or moments become lifelines when the current threatens to pull you under. At 14, Oprah's life shifts dramatically when she moves to Nashville to live with her father. The strict discipline and emphasis on education provide structure, but new challenges emerge. In a segregated South, excellence isn't always enough. Yet watch how she transforms limitations into fuel. When teachers tell her to tone down her enthusiasm, she channels it into debate club victories. When classmates mock her intensity, she pours it into academic achievement. This is where you might see yourself in her story. Perhaps you felt that burning need to prove yourself, to transform what others see as weakness into your greatest strength. Notice how Oprah doesn't dim her light to make others comfortable. Instead, she learns to focus it. The newsroom at WTVF Nashville buzzes with activity, but underneath runs a current of tension. It's 1973, and Oprah stands out as the first African-American female news anchor in the station's history. The cameras are unforgiving, the critics harsh, the pressure immense. Every mistake is magnified, every success qualified. But something unexpected happens when she goes off script during human interest stories. Her natural empathy breaks through the formal news barrier, touching viewers in ways her colleagues can't understand. You might recognize this moment in your own journey, when staying within established boundaries feels like betraying your true gifts, when following the rules means silencing your authentic voice. When Oprah takes over AM Chicago in 1984, something revolutionary happens. She doesn't just interview guests, she connects with them. Shares their pain, creates a space where vulnerability becomes strength. The ratings skyrocket, but more importantly, a new kind of conversation begins. One where trauma isn't hidden, where healing happens in plain sight, where millions of viewers learn it's okay to speak their truth. Think about this moment in your own life. When have you turned your deepest understanding of pain into a bridge to others? When has your willingness to be vulnerable created unexpected strength? If you're enjoying startups, please like, subscribe, and scan the QR code for our free 7-day email course, Become an Innovation Engine. Steal exact frameworks of billion-dollar breakthroughs like Netflix and Tesla. Now, back to the episode. Success brings its own challenges. Critics label her show trash TV. They mock her weight fluctuations, question her relationships, attempt to diminish her impact. But watch carefully what happens next. Instead of retreating, Oprah leans into authenticity. She shares her own struggles with food, abuse, self-worth. Each revelation becomes a lifeline for viewers fighting similar battles. Your scars, she shows us, can become a map guiding others toward healing. The Oprah Winfrey Show becomes more than television, it becomes a movement. Book clubs transform publishing. Angel networks change lives. The Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa opens doors for young women who remind her of herself. But success brings new tests. The launch of OWN Network initially struggles. The film Beloved falls short of expectations. These moments of public failure could have broken her spirit. Instead, they become lessons in resilience. Today, that little girl's whispered promise has been fulfilled beyond imagination. But the true power of Oprah's story isn't in her billions or her influence. It's in how she transformed her deepest wounds into her greatest gifts. Every moment of silence became fuel for speaking truth. Every experience of powerlessness became motivation to empower others. Every instance of being told she was too much became proof that her intensity was exactly what the world needed. Here's your challenge. Look at your own wounds, your own struggles, your own moments of being told you're too much or not enough. What if these aren't obstacles to overcome, but gifts waiting to be unwrapped? What if your deepest pain holds the key to your unique contribution to the world? Oprah's legacy isn't just about what one woman achieved. It's about what becomes possible when you refuse to let your past define your future. When you understand that your sensitivity, your intensity, your difference, the very things the world might tell you to tone down, could be exactly what the world needs most. The question isn't whether you have wounds, we all do. The question is, how will you transform them into wisdom? How will you use your unique understanding of pain to create bridges of healing for others? Your voice, like Oprah's, might be exactly the one someone else needs to hear. Remember that little girl in Mississippi whispering to her reflection. She didn't know how she would change the world. She just knew she had to try. Now it's your turn. Your story matters. Your voice matters. And somewhere, someone is waiting for the healing that only your transformed wounds can bring. The world doesn't need another person hiding their truth. It needs you in all your complex, beautiful authenticity, ready to turn your pain into purpose, ready to rise. On the next episode of Startups, Oprah's journey reminds us that authenticity and aligning values with business can lead to extraordinary success. But what happens when a relentless drive meets the electrifying energy of the dot-com boom? Imagine a world where calculated risk-taking isn't just a strategy, but a way of life. What if I told you the next visionary didn't just build an empire, but also bought a basketball team? Get ready to witness how one entrepreneur turned a bold vision into a broadcasting phenomenon, and the one deal with Yahoo that changed everything. You won't believe what happened when passion met opportunity, and the lessons you will learn next. Next week, we dive into capitalizing on opportunity, and our next story will be about someone who saw the digital revolution not as a threat, but as a launch pad. Learn how he seized the moment, turned an audacious idea into a fortune, and redefined what it means to be an entrepreneur in the modern age. Please like, subscribe, and scan the QR code, or follow the pinned link to get our free 7-day email course. Become an innovation engine. 7 days, $7 billion frameworks. Transform from idea person to startup innovator by learning the exact playbooks that built Netflix, Tesla, and SpaceX. Click the video that just popped up to watch the next one in this series. Or for episode summaries, behind-the-scenes info, and more, go to daily8.com/su. Thanks for watching.